on the TV. My only remark is, and I think Mike will probably touch on this. I talked to Mike last week. Our mission statement is one of jobs, that we create jobs. I asked Mike if he would look into a program, because basically what we do is loans. Is there a program, or could we invent a program that was either a loan program or something else that focused on jobs? And I think Mike is doing that. So I'll let him talk about that later. And that is my only remark. And I'll ask if everyone has read the minutes, and if so, can I get a motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
President and CEO report. Mike.
Good morning. Thank you very much. We have a number of things on the agenda today that you'll recall we went into an executive session last month to discuss the purchase of a piece of property, a 6-acre parcel on Route 9H adjacent to the Commerce Park. In fact, the backside of the lot adjoins the Commerce Park. This is a piece of property that the county had been looking at as a possible site for their Meals on Wheels program to build a kitchen. And the county has asked that we purchase this site with the possibility that as they go through their space planning process, that they would purchase it back. And after a certain period of time, if not, we would resell it. We did not consider the resolution last time, as I was still waiting for an appraisal and for the environmental report. The purchase price is $224,000. We did sign a purchase and sale contract subject to the appraisal and environmental report. The appraisal came back at 220 to 240, and the environmental is clean. And Andy has been coordinating this with the attorney for the seller. We did take the $150,000 CD that was coming due last month and liquidated that so that we do have funds available. You'll recall that the county had previously, in connection with the sale of some properties, asked us to hold funds that we would have otherwise sent back to them. And on our balance sheet, we're showing both funds for a water tower and a of $130,000, $71,000 and $49,000. And we are going to take the $100,000 from the EIDL loan, which we had received from the SBA, and use it for the $240,000 or $224,000 purchase. There'll be some closing costs, but not extensive. We believe that this is the purpose of a local development corporation. I don't know that we would be doing this if it weren't adjoining the Commerce Park, where water and sewer could be readily available. We just sold a piece of property for the Columbia County IDA in the Commerce Park, and it was 3 acres, but it was encumbered by wetlands, and that sold for $90,000. That county is directing the IDA to hold that $90,000 as an additional reimbursement for us if this property isn't sold to the county, so that we would ultimately recoup the funds that we extended beyond what we're holding for them now. So, Chairman, I would recommend to the board that you authorize the sale of that property, or the purchase of that property.
So yes, a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other Commerce Center issue is we have a piece of land that is under contract to Paul Harpus. It's a 5.5 acre parcel. He had put it under contract prior to COVID. And like most of the transactions at the Commerce Park, the purchase price was $60,000, and you paid 50% of that and committed to build on that site within 2 years. We have given him 2 extensions during COVID. He's now refocused his intention to developing that parcel, and he is asking for a 1-year extension. If not, what happens is he has to pay the full amount. So he would have to pay another $30,000 to $40,000, because we did add on that parcel penalties each time that we gave him the extension. We added another $2,000 on one occasion, $1,000 on the other. I think our purpose is to help businesses develop sites. I think that certainly it was all but impossible for businesses to undertake that type of risk during COVID. I think that this would be the one and final extension, and that we would add $1,500 to the penalty mortgage, so that if he did not complete the development of that site within a year, he would again owe the full amount of the property. The difficulty with the way it's structured, and these deals were structured a long time ago this way, I would have structured it where you took the property back. I give it to them for 50% and then take it back if they didn't build, so that we could resell it. But if we don't give him the extension to develop it, he's just going to pay us, and it'll could sit there empty and not develop. So I think it does make sense to work with the developers to move forward with that.
What's he proposed to put there?
He was at one point going to move his own business there. I think that the reality of this will be that if he doesn't sell it within a year, he's going to have to sell it to pay us.
So that would be Paragon?
Yeah. What I was very clear to him was if he sold it for a premium, he still owed the full amount on the mortgage, on the penalty mortgage. The alternative would be to force him to buy it now, because he's not going to lose the $50,000 that he's already put into the property. And then you have a risk that no one will develop it. It'll just sit there as a, if you, and if you wanted, I guess we could go 6 months. But I think,
Would you pay half now?
well, he's paid up to 50% of the property. He's got one more payment
Yeah.
left on the original purchase. And I think by adding another $1,500 to the penalty mortgage, it gives us interest at like 7%.
So it'd be the other 50% plus $1,500 if he defaults.
Right, and he's already got the times that we've extended it previously, we've added to his penalty mortgage. And he was fine with that, but I think he knows that if we just sold 6 acres or purchased 6 acres for $220, he could sell 5 for $180, and he's going to owe us. He's got $50,000 in it, and he's going to owe us about $60,000 at that point, and then he'll pocket $20,000 or $30,000. So I don't think it's a risk, and it does give an opportunity to someone who's already indicated a desire to develop it. I don't know if there's any discussion in if we can wait till next month. I think if you'd like to consider this further, or we could entertain a motion today to a 1-year extension.
Would he be fine with 6 months?
I think the 6 months with the way the planning board is in Claverack and any town, I don't mean to pick on Claverack, and makes it, I would say 9 months, and you have so that you have to have your planning board approval and building permit in 9 months. And that way he could start next spring. And I think that would be a good compromise and keep some pressure on him. I like that idea. Right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd modify. We give him 2 years.
So we give him another 9 months, and at which time he has to have a building permit and have started construction.
Any more discussion? Is that a motion?
I move, yeah.
Second. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
We also are pleased to report that the Board of Supervisors approved the Columbia Forward initiative between CEDC and the Chamber. As you recall, the original proposal was to give us $1 million for grants. We thought that would be difficult to administer and would also create an opportunity for perhaps giving a grant to the wrong person. And did you give $500 to every business in the county, or did you give $30,000 to 30 businesses like they're doing in Ulster County? You know, the equity of that was challenging. So we went back to the county and proposed that they provide $450,000, $150,000 a year. It would bring $20,000 initially to CEDC, and then we would split the remaining $130,000 50-50 between CEDC and the Chamber for a staff person. Basically, that will bring in $82,500 for us beginning July 1 on a half-year basis, and then at the end of the first year, so that would be next June, the county would evaluate our effectiveness in partnership with the Chamber, and it's a 1-year renewable for 3 years. These are ARPA funds from the federal government that have to be spent by December 31st of 2024. We've worked with the Chamber, and we're continuing to put together the plan, because it's critical that if we take the first year of money, we have to be in a position to have metrics that ensure we get the remaining funding. I think we have a good opportunity here to do this. The Board of Supervisors added something to it. They wanted to provide some incentive for people to get small business loans. So they provided CEDC with an additional $50,000, and we, in return, committed to use $500,000 that's available in our loan fund. We have about $1.4 million available in our loan fund. But the next $500,000, we would initiate a loan program where if you could borrow on a 5, 7, or 10-year basis at 3.75% up to $25,000. And as an incentive, you would get 10% of the amount borrowed at closing. So if you did a $15,000 loan, you would get $16,500 at closing, but only be responsible for a $15,000 loan. Kind of like you're going to buy a car. You know, you're going to come in and we're going to give you an incentive to come in. A lot of people can use that for the first 6 months of their interest and principal payment, or they can just go ahead and use it for other business purposes. That $50,000, Martha and I and Lauren are working on how we're going to market that. We want it available both for businesses that have been in business for 2 years or more with a 625 credit score, but also some of those funds need to be available for startups. We're just trying to figure out with the loan committee how we would underwrite that. We do need to approve entering into the contract with the county for the $450,000 Columbia Forward project, which now includes the additional 50 for the loan program. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's particularly reflective of the fact that this is the first ARPA money that the county has awarded out of their 8 million, and that it was unanimously approved by the Board of Supervisors, and that CEDC is the recipient of it. They asked that we manage it, and it was our idea to include the chamber so that we weren't in a situation like we were appearing to grab all the money. And I think it's important for our stakeholders to see us partnering with the chamber on an equal basis. So I would recommend motion to approve the contract with the county.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Thanks, Mike.
We're moving quickly. We're continuing to work on broadband. We are working with the county on broadband on a county-wide basis, but we've also been asked by Canaan, New Lebanon, Ghent, and Austerlitz, who are the recipients of a $800,000 grant from Representative Delgado, now Lieutenant Governor Delgado. I think there was a sense that that money was going to come right to the towns through their congressmen, but there were 19 members of Congress who used their earmark money to provide some support for broadband. And the Office of Management and Budget decided that with that many projects, they would send the money to the USDA Reconnect program for administration. Columbia County doesn't qualify for Reconnect funding, so they have to create a special portal application process and review and approval. But it will require such things as an environmental review. It'll require competitive bidding. And so the town is a little frustrated that they weren't just gonna be able to go out and hire the two providers that serve the town. We're trying to help them understand that, you know, we can be supportive or we can manage the program for them. And they're trying to get their hands around which they'd like us to do. You'll recall we did for the Board of Supervisors, a housing study. We are working on the final report and recommendations. A little political push as to what that report and what those recommendations should be. And I think the real issue is, should there be a housing subcommittee of the Board of Supervisors Economic Development Committee to take this to the next step? Or should there be a county housing director position created? I think it'll fall somewhere in an evolution of let's send it to the Board of Supervisors Committee, and then let's evolve into what type of position, if any, is needed. I have been invited to a meeting on transportation that the Board of Supervisors are beginning to look at. You know, as you know, it's a 240-mile, 7-hour trip to visit the parking lot of every town hall in the county. So thinking about how you would set up any type of transportation program. I have had conversations with CDTA. They've just moved into Fulton and Montgomery counties. But again, you know, you have to develop ridership and you have to develop routes that make sense.
Mike, do they have more of a critical mass out there in Fulton and Montgomery than we do, say like in Kinderhook?
I think that, you know, you've got Johnstown and Amsterdam and Montgomery County, so it is a little more, but the same population. I know we looked often to Montgomery County as a model because they have the same approximate population that we have, but there is a little more critical mass. I think what you would look at, you'd have to have a park and ride because, you know, there are not enough people in any of the villages or hamlets that would make themselves available to public transportation without people coming, you know, 3, 5, 10 miles into a center distribution point. But I think it's something to look at. I know there's transportation now that the county runs, and I know there's some shuttle service from Hudson to some of the Fairview Avenue shopping areas, including the supermarket. We continue to assist the county with solar, and We continue to be very busy with both the Columbia County IDA and the City of Hudson IDA. And we are waiting on word from the state on a grant application that we assisted Klein Kill Farm and the county for a $250,000 grant to upgrade transient housing for farm workers. And we also were very fortunate. We were able to get a 1-year extension due to COVID for Clock Estates on their $325,000 state grant. It was the 3rd extension we were able to get for them, which I was told is unheard of, but so was COVID. And we do have an IDA public hearing to finalize the pilot agreement for Clock. I arranged for them to meet with the school superintendent last week on the City of Hudson IDA. The former Town and Country market was purchased. The people from New Jersey who the ultimate purchasers are planning to gut the existing facility, add a 4,000 square foot addition, and buy several $1 million of equipment that will allow them to process food. They did acquire the USDA meat processing license, which is I think the only one in the county, and they're going to make prepared meals for restaurant wholesaling. I probably shouldn't say this, but I asked them for the list of restaurants so that I'm sure not to go there and get a meal that was frozen in Hudson a month before. But
I think that goes on once you know.
yeah, you know, so we'll have to find out what the price point is. But they're $10 to $12 an entree, and they come in boxes of 12. And it's a $7.5 million project. Hudson did, the IDA did pass a resolution not to approve hotel projects in the city of Hudson for 90 days. They're still accepting applications. There's an application by the Galvin Corporation for a hotel at 4th and Warren. There's a potential application for the Elks Club, which just sold. The closing was completed about 3 weeks ago. And there was a 3rd hotel project that they were interested in building a hotel, but they hadn't found a site yet. So I think there's a little concern on the part of the IDA and some of the public feedback. One thing that has been pointed out is that it's not as if someone's proposing 2 Hampton Inns with 150 rooms each. When you look at these 30, 40 room boutique properties, they are serving different market niches. So you may not end up with an overflow of hotel rooms. You may just end up with 30 rooms in the $600 a night market and 50 rooms in the $180 a night market. But I think it's going to require some level of market study by the developers to be able to convince the IDA that we're just not going to be run over with hotels. But I think there's a gentleman who just called about purchasing the Rojan School to do a mixed-use project there, apartments, hotel, retail. It's a tremendous asbestos issue there, but it's not the 3rd developer we've seen for that property. And
What's the question about the jobs for all these hotels? We talk about creating jobs, but that's like kind of bottom end of the price range here.
well,
Jobs and then no housing. So
and the housing, the median sale price has come down a little bit, and I think as we knew, it was inflated by a couple of large, multi-million-dollar sales over months, but it hasn't come down significantly. And where to find, becoming more and more a service economy. More than 50% of the jobs in the county right now are service, whether they be professional service to retail to hospitality. So, and we are back to being the lowest unemployment in the state at 2.4%. But now, instead of being 2 or 3 counties at that level, there are about 12 counties under 3%. So, and going into the summer, you're going to see that tightening up even more. Finally, Dave did ask us to look at how we might be able to stimulate, create a program that would help us stimulate job creation. And what we're working on, and we'll have for your review next month after it goes through the loan committee, is a program where you would be able to borrow up to $5,000 as an employer to use to provide either, well, it would be used to provide starting
Like a sign-on.
sign-on bonuses for employees. And it would be at 3.5%. And if you demonstrate, it'd be a 2-year loan. And so the payment would be, around $300 to $500 a month, depending on whether the full amount or not. And after a year, if you came in and the employee was still in your employ, we were going to give a 10 or 20% write-off on the loan.
Certain amount of months. Whatever.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out how that would work. We're not sure what the market is going to be for that. I mean, if you're going to give someone a $5,000 bonus, you're probably at a salary range and rate that you probably can afford it. But I think it is an opportunity for some of the smaller businesses to at least see how it goes. I have my cousin Google. He and I are working on trying to find out whether someone's done this somewhere else in the country where we can either find a variation of it or a template for it. But I think trying to understand how we don't really have grant money, but how we can incentivize or assist really small businesses to be able to hire additional people to create jobs, as Dave's direction is.
Mike and Dave, is there a way in your studies to kind of prevent that from cannibalizing other businesses? With guys moving just from one job to the other to get the bonus?
They don't get the incentive unless the employee stays.
No, but if you took them,
So we're not stealing employees to get the bonus.
Good point.
musical chair.
Yeah.
Finally, we're beginning to gear up with the CFA process, the Governor's Regional Economic Development Council. We are going to put together a day. June 8th has been selected. We're going to split it with Greene County to have some in-county forum for businesses, not-for-profits, and other organizations that are looking for funding this year and information on the program. It's not significantly different than previous years. The Empire State Development grants up to $200 million statewide will be on a rolling basis again. And the grants from the other state agencies will be grant applications due at the end of July. As you'll recall, last year we received $18 million of the $200,000 for projects in Columbia County, which is kind of like hospital financing. If you do really well this year, you might not get as much next year, but we're optimistic, and there are a lot of good projects. On the financials, we're basically $250,000 up on net assets, and that's basically the additional funding from the SBA. On the revenue side, we're $21,000 above budget through April. Our expenses are $8,500 more than budget. That is the result of some computer purchases and some other expenses. We're up at $23,000 in office expense, and $14,000 of that is dues and subscriptions. And we're trying to see how that plays out in terms of how did we divide that number by 12, and so we don't have enough credited when dues and subscriptions are due early in the year, or is it truly over budget? You'll recall that we did spend $9,500 to join Pattern and Progress. And we also joined Chamber at 5,000. And as we have in the past. So we are looking at that, but we're at a net income of negative 13,000, and we are budgeting a negative 27. So, you know, I don't like to be in the negative, but early in the year is when our expenses are front end loaded for a lot of things. We are significantly down on employee expenses. We're $33,000 down for 4 months, which, you know, on an annualized basis is about $100,000. So I will report a little bit about that in an executive session to discuss personnel matters. That's more than enough. So I will yield back unless there are any questions.
So we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
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 Carried. The next item is a virtual meeting authorization resolution.
The New York State,
This was the public hearing first,
you know, we have to hold a
which we noticed.
today.
Vote first or not?
No.
I would vote.
I think what we have to do is,
Yeah,
if you could suspend the meeting to open up a public hearing to review the proposed resolution with respect to our new open meeting policy.
Without notice in the paper?
Yeah, it was
It was in.
in the paper.
Oh, it's in the paper.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we probably should have done that before we started.
Okay.
We should have. It was kind
So
of
we'll suspend the meeting to open up a public hearing to
Okay.
discuss all these new rules that the state has meticulously defined for us, so we don't have anything really to modify or adapt.
So I'll suspend the meeting and open it to a public hearing and ask if there's any public comment.
But we need a motion to go in.
I would make a motion to suspend the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion. So it's open to public comment.
Don't need another.
I would make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Again, this is dictated by a new state law, and it addresses whether or not people can participate remotely. And it does require that there be an exceptional circumstances. And it also, is there anything else, Andy, that, but we have no ability to modify it.
So what you have in your packet is the resolution. It's the state sponsored resolution that boards such as the CEDC are required to review and acceptable pass. And that would give you the flexibility in the future. In another outbreak. Video conference.
Question?
Go ahead.
Are the board members who are participating today in compliance with that, those criteria that are set forth?
It doesn't take effect till June 8th.
Okay. If this meeting were being held in July, would the board members that are participating in today's meeting be able to participate in that meeting under the criteria that are set forth in the resolution?
I think they'd have to meet the exception, which is pretty strict.
Yeah, you'd have to meet one of the exceptions, Jim. So it would have to be, an emergent situation if you yourself had COVID or, we had some emergency meeting that was being called. So it's going to allow us to do this, but I think it would be more the exception than the rule.
Thank you.
Any more comments? Any comments from the public?
I move to close the meeting. Public discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
You have to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
Mr. Chairman, having passed that resolution, I am going to have to participate, although I'm not a voting member, so I don't know that this covers me, but I'm going to have to participate in the June meeting remotely, which will be the first time I've missed a meeting in person in my tenure here.
Who's gonna be here to make sure it works?
Yeah.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Is that right?
Here.
Probably it wouldn't be a bad
Yeah, I'm
idea.
looking at it, it looks like it.
Is another?
There you go. So that's this,
Yes.
okay.
Do you want me to do
You
the
want
roll
to
call?
do it?
I can. Dave Finger,
Aye.
Jim Calvin. Jim Calvin,
Here,
we're voting yes or no, Jim.
pardon me, aye.
Thank you. Drew Sterling,
Aye.
Ruth Adams. Joe Benson.
Aye.
Rick Cummings,
Aye.
Tara Gay, Derek Grout, Michael Hockman,
Aye.
Ken Leggett, Rachel Levine,
Aye.
Michael Malinsky,
Aye.
Anita Ote,
Aye.
Rick Rector,
Aye.
Brian Stickles. You have a motion. In favor, you're all set.
Motion's carried.
Yes, thank you.
Back in the-
We're already back in the
Yeah, I
regular.
think
meeting.
Audit and Finance Committee did not meet, Executive Committee did not meet. Governance and Nominating Committee did, Sarah is the chair, and I asked her to.
Okay, first, we discussed different candidates for different jobs and we are meeting.
Something like her.
I'd like to introduce first our new members, Michael Hoffman. Right to my left, Rachel Levine, Rick Rector. And that's our three members. Well, then I'll go right to, we have another board candidate now, who is Sean Sawyer. We met with him. He's president of the Lana Foundation and Lana Partnership. And I think he's pretty well known. All of you know him, but I have a couple of his resumes here if you'd like to. And I have a question for the future. We tend not to when we come to the board for the meeting, we haven't passed out the resumes ahead of time. I don't know if this is a
In the packet, I suppose.
confidentiality issue, which way to do it, but it's like we're just introducing someone cold to this meeting.
So like include it in the packet, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
And
makes
in
sense.
the future, we'll try to do that. I see some of these stuff.
But we did do an in-person interview with Sean, and he was very,
Very.
interested in serving and very active. Probably said a lot.
Workforce and development, and they're doing a big, definitely economic development, economic,
It's definitely a big part of Columbia County's economy.
right.
He was also
Right.
really engaged with keeping the community here or keeping people who goes up through like the community college and Florida and along. He was really.
So I would like, a motion, any more discussion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
And then we have a vacancy as treasurer. And we have asked the treasurer. She is indicated she would do that, so. Anybody else? that would like to open?
Yeah, I would have a vote, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Tara as our treasurer of the CEDC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Well,
Congratulations.
puts you on the executive committee.
You want to discuss her pay? What she gets paid?
That'll be short.
Let's move on. You don't want her to change your mind.
And then we do have vacancies on various committees, and I'm gonna be talking to, well, as to what I'd like to be on. We'll go forward with that.
And we're also going to shortly have some vacancies on the board too. We've got a couple of members who. Sure.
Yeah. So I think this will
So
be
I
an
don't know what point we're
ongoing,
going to deal with that, but we are going to have to deal with it.
we can talk to some of them.
I have.
David has. And, yeah, so I think it's been ongoing. We're just gonna keep people trying to get a mix of great work, diversity of occupations and skills and all of that. It's a vital board.
Yep, we try to keep people on the board that have different life experiences in different types of businesses, as well as live in different parts of the county.
Yes.
when possible.
Okay, that's it for my.
Thank you. Loan committee.
Let's start with the portfolio review. The report that you have in front of you is dated May 24th, and it shows 2 loans in arrears. The first is the Columbia County Chamber, and I spoke to Amy. I thought that should be in last week. We'll probably receive it today. The other one is Heavenly Essentials Therapeutic Massage. The loan committee agreed that we will rewrite that loan using CEDC funds so that we take it out of the SBA portfolio. Her business has closed. She's currently unemployed. She's a veteran. We're trying to work with her, and we're going to try and set up a repayment plan that works for her as well as CEDC. Are there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Yeah, portfolio review. Any discussion first? Motion to approve.
I so.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Columbia Forward.
We already done that.
The Hudson.
Gonna
River
get busy
Road.
soon. Okay, we have a loan request, second request from Hudson Roastery. 15 months ago, we brought before the committee their business plan and a request to borrow $50,000 to open their doors. The balance of that loan is currently $40,000, and now they're ready to implement the second phase of their plan, which is to start roasting their own beans. They've been using Chris's coffee to do that. We have actual figures for 2021. They beat their projections. They filed their tax returns on time. And so their plan is to purchase a gently used roaster for $27,500. And they've already purchased a new espresso machine, which has increased capacity, which they require. And they decided it's more economical to come to CEDC than to lease that machine. So they're looking for $47,000. They have identified, although not finalized, a space for this new roaster, and they hope to have it ready about November 1st. Not only will the roasting take place in this new facility, but it will provide an office for the owners. They do not have enough space in their current facility to have an office, and it'll provide much needed storage as well. And then ultimately, they hope they will have a second retail location at this new facility. So again, they're looking for $47,000. It'll be a 6-year note, 3.75% based on the new Columbia Forward program, and they would qualify for the 10% or, in this case, $2,500 grant on top of the loan. We'll have a personal guarantee from both owners, and again, they have already given us some job projections, and 8% woman owned also comes into play. Because this is, both an SBA loan and a C.
Martha,
Yeah,
will that contain a wholesale operation as well? They'll be selling that brand.
yes,
And
They
it will
already
be
do.
Hudson-based brand
yes. So currently.
or
they're selling-
Columbia County-based brand?
No, they're selling to Adams Ferry for farms. They sell to a host of restaurants up here and in New York City where it's. And they do hope to increase the wholesale portion of their business while they continue to grow. How much money do they spend on? That I don't know. Right now, as I say, they're working. That would be directly how much money. Because if they're buying that product that they can provide themselves.
Yeah, I think that they weren't able to, I don't think they're able to amortize it simply on the increase. The savings off the retail fees, they have to have the wholesale business to make it.
Did we know at the first 50,000 we get that there would be a second step to this?
They had indicated that they wanted to begin grossing their own beans at some point. We've often made a second loan to our loan clients. We generally ask that they wait a full year before they.
Gotcha.
And I think the key here is the credit scores.
So this was approved by the loan committee. Is there any more discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion. To approve or disapprove.
So moved.
Approved.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Jonathan Lowe proposal.
Got that a little bit. There was no workforce meeting. And I would now ask, Mr. Chairman, that you entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the personnel.
I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Really special.
Those of you on the line, I emailed you a resume a moment ago. As you know, we have been attempting for some time